The galaxy was on fire. Two great empires had clashed, dragging dozens of smaller races into their endless war. The stars burned with battleships. Entire fleets vanished into smoke and debris. Every council member was forced to take a side. Some joined out of fear, some out of pride, and some because they had no choice. Yet one world stayed silent. Earth, the home of humanity. They refused every call to arms, refused every demand to join one empire or the other. The galaxy mocked them, whispering that humans were too weak, too afraid, or too foolish to fight. But no one really understood the silence. In the great council chamber, voices shouted in anger. "The humans insult us with their cowardice," one alien ambassador roared, his claws scraping the table. "They think they are safe on their little blue planet," another hissed. "But neutrality is weakness, and weakness is dangerous." Still, Earth's chair remained empty, their flag never raised in support of either side. Whispers spread among the younger races. Why would humans refuse war when the whole galaxy was burning? Was it fear or something else? The mystery only deepened when human trade ships kept moving calmly across neutral zones, guarded by escorts that never fired a shot. They smiled, they bargained, they lived as if the war outside was none of their concern. In dark corners of space, alien commanders laughed. "Humans are nothing. They hide behind words and neutrality," one admiral sneered. "If they had true power, they would have shown it long ago." His fleet burned with arrogance, but arrogance often blinds. On Earth itself, silence did not mean weakness. In hidden chambers deep underground, leaders met in secret. Their words were measured, their eyes sharp. "They think we are cowards," one general whispered. "Let them think it," another replied. "The longer they believe, the stronger we become." And so humanity worked in shadows, building, planning, waiting. Meanwhile, the war in the stars grew darker. Planets turned into graveyards. Cities lost forever. The council was broken into two halves, both screaming for dominance, yet Earth stayed apart. The lone voice that did not scream. Two outsiders. It looked like weakness. But to those who knew the history of humanity, it was something else. Restraint. In the slums of alien colonies, soldiers joked about humans. They said humans would never raise a blade, never stand in a fight. But old veterans, those who had studied human history, grew quiet at such jokes. They remembered ancient wars, 2 world wars, a Cold War, countless battles where humans had fought not for glory but for survival. They knew silence was not cowardice. Silence was patience. Across the stars, a small spark of arrogance lit the fuse. An alien fleet, hungry for resources and blinded by pride, turned its eyes toward human trade routes. Their commanders laughed. "The humans will do nothing. They always do nothing." Their ships crossed into neutral zones, burning convoys, seizing colonies, taking what was not theirs. Millions of human voices cried out in fear and pain, and still, Earth did not answer. The galaxy thought it was over. Humans were broken, too weak to respond, but in the shadows of Earth, preparations reached their peak. Hidden fleets waited in silence. Ancient shipyards glowed with power. The time of restraint was ending. A rumor began spreading through the galaxy like wildfire. A single sentence passed from lips to lips. "They are not silent because they are weak. They are silent because they are waiting." In the council chamber, one alien ambassador leaned forward with fear in his voice. "We may have awoken the wrong power," he whispered. But his warning was drowned by laughter. The others refused to believe. Above the blue planet, in orbit around Earth, a massive ship stirred from sleep. Its engines glowed faintly, like a beast stretching after long rest. No one in the galaxy knew it existed. No one, except humanity. And as the stars kept burning with war, humanity's silence grew heavier. It was not the silence of fear, but the silence before a storm. The galaxy's war had reached a boiling point. Fleets clashed in every sector, empires crumbled, and yet Earth remained silent. Their silence was like a shadow over the council, a question no one wanted to ask. Why did the humans still refuse to choose a side? Some called them cowards, others called them wise. But one alien empire, proud and cruel, believed silence was an insult. The Krenar Dominion, rulers of fire worlds, believed strength was shown only through war. Their generals declared that Earth's neutrality was weakness. And weakness, they said, was a disease that must be cut out. The Krenar launched a raid, not with hesitation but with laughter. Their fleet crossed the neutral borders and struck human outposts. Colonies filled with farmers, children, and traders were set ablaze. Convoys screamed for help, but Earth did not respond. To the Kreenar, this was proof that humans had no will. Their arrogance blinded them, yet far away. Hidden eyes were watching. Human satellites, cloaked drones, and silent ships tracked every Kreenar move. Reports flowed back to secret human command centers deep under Earth's surface. The generals did not panic. They did not shout. Instead, they spoke in cold voices. Record everything. Let them believe we are weak. Their arrogance will bury them. On the colonies, survivors whispered, "Why does Earth stay silent? Do they not hear us?" Hope dimmed, anger rose, but still the fleets of humanity did not move. The galaxy shook its head. "Humans are finished," they said. But in the darkness of space, something ancient was waking. The Kreenar were drunk with victory. Their admiral stood tall on his flagship, claws gleaming. "Humans are soft prey," he told his crew. "They have no armies, no courage, no fire in their blood." His soldiers cheered, believing the war was already won, but not everyone believed the lie. A Zalan mercenary hired to fight alongside the Kreenar spoke with unease. "I have studied humans," he said quietly. "They do not fight often, but when they do, they fight to the end." The Kreenar admiral laughed in his face. "They are cattle, nothing more." His laughter echoed, but deep inside, fear began to stir. In the void, human ships began to vanish from charts. No one noticed at first, but trade lanes emptied one by one. Escorts disappeared without explanation, as if Earth itself was withdrawing its blood from the galaxy, pulling everything back, preparing. Then came the whispers. Alien fleets began reporting strange attacks. Ships crippled in the dark. Entire patrols vanishing without a trace. Survivors spoke of shadows moving faster than light. Weapons striking like lightning. Some swore they saw the emblem of Earth burned into their attackers' hulls, but others said it was impossible. Humans would never dare. Fear began to spread through alien ranks. "Are the humans behind this?" one soldier asked. "Nonsense," another replied. "They are too weak." Yet even as they spoke, entire fleets kept vanishing. On the council floor, voices rose again. "This must be the humans. No one else has such technology." But the majority refused to believe. If humans had such power, they would have used it long ago, they argued. But deep down, some began to wonder, what if Earth had been building all along? The Kreenar, blinded by their pride, ignored the warnings. They pressed deeper into human space, burning worlds, enslaving survivors, spreading terror. Their admiral grew bold, declaring that he would conquer Earth itself. "We will take their blue planet and show the galaxy what happens to cowards," he said. His voice filled the comms. Of 1,000 warships, his soldiers cheered, but in the silence beyond, humanity was listening. On Earth, the leaders gathered once more, their faces grim, their voices steady. "They believe we are powerless," one general said. "Let them believe," replied another. "Their arrogance will open the door for us." And in the shadows of Earth's orbit, fleets that had never been seen by alien eyes stirred awake. Their engines hummed like sleeping beasts ready to roar. Still, the Kreenar did not see the danger. Their fleets spread wider, hungrier, and with each step deeper into human territory, the trap was closing. A lone Kreenar scout ship patrolling near an abandoned human station sent out a final message. "They are here," the voice whispered, filled with terror. Then the signal cut. Silence followed. The galaxy never heard from that ship again. The Kreenar laughed at the report, dismissing it as madness. But those who studied human history knew better. Silence was the warning. Silence was the storm before the strike. And soon, very soon, the Kreenar would learn the cost of arrogance. For humanity, silence was not weakness. It was the blade waiting in the dark. The Kreenar fleet spread across human space, their banners burning red against the void. They thought the humans were broken, too weak to fight, too slow to rise. But then the shadows came. At first it was whispers, patrol ships failing to report, convoys gone missing. Commanders dismissed it as desertion, pirates, or mechanical failures. But then entire squadrons began to vanish. Whole fleets disappeared into silence, leaving only fragments of distress calls. A Kreenar captain once laughed as he transmitted, "Cowards, hiding in the dark, show yourselves." Moments later, his ship went dark, cut apart by invisible blades of light. No wreckage remained, only drifting echoes in the void. Fear spread through the alien ranks. Some said humans had no ships, others whispered of phantom fleets. They called them ghosts of Earth, shadows that struck with speed no sensors could track, weapons no, shields could block. The Kreenar admirals refused to believe. They are weak, they shouted. They cannot stand against us. But deep inside, even they began to tremble. On the council floor, the debates grew louder. These attacks bear the mark of humanity, one ambassador declared. Their weapons, their precision, it cannot be anyone else. But others shook their heads. If humans had this power, why hide it? Why wait so long? And the silence of Earth remained unbroken. They did not confirm, they did not deny, they simply watched. Meanwhile, survivors of the shadow attacks carried terror in their eyes. One Kreenar officer, rescued after his fleet was destroyed, whispered again and again. They fight like ghosts, they fight like demons, they are everywhere and nowhere. His words spread across barracks, turning strong soldiers into frightened children. In the void, human fleets moved with purpose. They did not fight for conquest, they fought for precision. They struck supply lines, severed communications, cut the veins of the Kreenar war machine, each strike calculated, each silence heavier than the last. Inside hidden command centers on Earth, generals studied every report. Maps glowed red with Kreenar fleets, but blue lights of human ships blinked in and out like hunters. A single order carried across the room. No mercy, no noise. Let them drown in fear before they drown in fire. The Kreenar admiral, once arrogant, now restless, he pounded his claws against the table. Find them, he roared. Find the humans and crush them. But no matter how many fleets he sent, none returned whole. The shadows tore through them, always unseen until it was too late. Then came the first true message, broadcast across Kreenar space, not from humans directly, but from a hacked channel of their own fleet. A single human voice spoke, calm and cold. You burned our colonies, you thou. Get us weak, now you will learn what silence means. The signal cut, leaving nothing but static. Panic spread through Kreenar ranks. Their soldiers began refusing orders. Their ships moved slower. Their morale broke. And still Earth said nothing officially. Their governments stayed quiet. Their envoys did not speak. But in the dark, their fleets howled like wolves across the galaxy. Fear grew. Smaller races began to whisper. The humans are not weak, they are dangerous, they are patient hunters. Some even began to withdraw from the Kreenar alliance, unwilling to be targeted next. The council itself shifted, doubt spreading among those who once mocked Earth in the trenches of alien soldiers. Stories grew. Some said they saw human ships that could vanish like smoke. Others swore they fought men with eyes like fire. Soldiers who did not bleed. Fear turned to legend. Legend turned to terror. On Earth, families watched in silence as reports came back, their loved ones fighting in shadows, nameless, faceless, heroes who would never be celebrated, but who carried the weight of vengeance. Children asked their parents, "Why do we not tell the galaxy who we are?" And the parents whispered back, "Because fear is stronger than words." The Kreenar admiral, once so proud, began to see the truth. They are not cowards, he admitted in secret. They are hunters, and we are the prey. Yet it was too late to turn back. He had provoked the storm, and now the storm was upon him. The shadows grew bolder. Human fleets appeared for seconds, long enough to unleash devastation, then vanished again. Alien worlds that once cheered for war now cried for peace. The council was divided, and in the silence of Earth, leaders prepared for the next step. The time for shadows was ending. Soon the storm would break in full daylight, and across the galaxy, every soldier, every leader, every citizen began to ask the same question. What will happen when Earth finally speaks? For months, the galaxy drowned in rumors, whispers of sent fleets, stories of humans striking in the dark, but no one had seen the full power of Earth, not yet. The Kreenar Dominion pressed harder, desperate to crush the shadows. Their admiral declared that Earth would fall within weeks. He boasted to the council, "We will drag their blue world into ashes, and the galaxy will see that silence cannot save cowards." But his words rang hollow. His fleets had already bled too much. His soldiers feared the dark, yet arrogance blinded him still. Then came the day Earth finally spoke. A council meeting was held, voices shouting, accusations flying, and then the chamber screens flickered. Every ambassador froze as the seal of Earth appeared. A human figure stepped forward, calm, sharp-eyed. His voice carried no anger, no pride, only steel. You burned our colonies, you slaughtered our people, you mistook silence for weakness. He paused, letting the words weigh heavy. Now the silence ends. The message spread across the stars in moments. Alien worlds that had mocked Earth now trembled, and in the shadows of space, fleets long hidden began to move, their engines lit like suns, their hulls revealed shapes that no alien had ever imagined. The first human fleet emerged from the dark near the Kreenar front lines, 1,000 ships strong, their formation perfect. The Kreenar sensors screamed. Unknown class detected, unknown weapons detected. But before they could react, the storm broke. Human ships unleashed weapons that tore through Kreenar shields like paper, beams of light that bent through space, missiles that split and hunted their targets like predators. Entire enemy squadrons were erased in seconds. The galaxy watched in silence as the hunters became the hunted. On one Kreenar flagship, the admiral screamed, "Fire everything!" But nothing mattered. His weapons missed shadows that danced around him, his shields colors. Set under human fire, his fleet broke like glass. Survivors fled in terror, but humanity did not chase blindly. Their fleets moved with cold precision. Every strike chosen, every target measured, not for conquest, not for pride, but for vengeance. Across alien space, voices rose in fear. The humans are awake. They were never weak, they were waiting. Entire populations began to question their leaders. Why had they provoked such a power? Why had they poked the silence? On Earth, civilians watched the broadcast with tears, their families, their heroes, finally revealed. For years they had been mocked, insulted, ignored. But now, the galaxy saw the truth. Humanity was no one's servant, no one's coward. In the council chamber, chaos erupted. Some ambassadors shouted for peace, others demanded retaliation. But all were silenced when a second human message came. "We do not fight for your empires. We do not fight for your greed," the envoy said. "We fight for our people. We fight because you forced us. And if you continue, we will end you." The words echoed like thunder. Aliens who had mocked humanity fell silent. For the first time, they saw humans not as traitors or weak diplomats, but as warriors who carried storms in their veins. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, something greater appeared, a colossal human warship, unlike anything in the galaxy. Its size dwarfed Kreenar dreadnoughts, its hull shimmered with strange metal, its cannons glowed with power enough to break a moon. The Kreenar admiral stared in disbelief. "This cannot exist," he whispered, but it did. The ship opened fire, and entire fleets vanished in light. Fear spread beyond the Kreenar. Other empires began to tremble. If Earth had hidden this power all along, what else were they hiding? What storms still slept in their silence? In one corner of the galaxy, a small alien child asked his father, "Why are the humans so angry?" And the father answered with sorrow, "Because we woke them." The war was no longer a war between empires. It had become a lesson written in fire. Earth had stayed out of the war, but the aliens had awoken the wrong power. And as human fleets marched forward, the galaxy realized the truth. This was not the end. This was only the beginning. The Kreenar dominion staggered. Their fleets, once proud and arrogant, lay broken across the stars. But humanity did not stop. Their silence had ended, and now the storm began. Human fleets moved like a tide, dark against the stars. They did not roar with chaos like alien armadas. They moved with precision, with discipline, with unity. Every strike planned, every battle chosen. They were not fighting for conquest. They were fighting for survival and vengeance. The first great counterattack came at the Kreenar stronghold of Dalketh, a fortress world said to be impregnable. Its defenses had stood against 100 sieges, but when the humans arrived, the walls of Dalketh fell in a single night. Missiles rained down like fire. Beams carved through shields that once seemed invincible. The Kreenar defenders screamed in disbelief. No weapon should be able to pierce our walls. But human weapons did not care for their pride. Survivors told stories of human soldiers landing on the ground. They did not march with arrogance. They moved quietly, swiftly, their eyes burning with determination. Every step they took carried the weight of their fallen colonies. The Kreenar fought with rage, but humans fought with something stronger. Resolve. In orbit above Dalketh, an alien mercenary captain watched as the Kreenar fleet burned. He whispered to his crew, "They do not fight like conquerors. They fight like executioners. The galaxy has never seen such fury. The Kreenar warlord, the same one who had mocked humanity, now stood cornered. His empire crumbled. His fleet shattered, yet he refused to yield. His pride was too great. His arrogance too heavy. He declared to his people, "We will not bow. We will destroy the humans even if we burn with them." And so he summoned the remnants of his forces. A desperate strike, one final attempt to turn the tide. But the humans were ready. Their fleets had already anticipated his move. Their scouts, their hidden watchers had mapped every route. The storm of vengeance was not reckless. It was deliberate, unstoppable. In the council chamber, chaos exploded. Some cried for intervention. Others demanded neutrality. But all were silenced by fear. The images of Dalketh burning were etched into every mind, and everyone knew if the humans could destroy the Kreenar, they could destroy anyone on Earth. The people did not celebrate. They watched with heavy hearts. Their vengeance was not joy. It was sorrow, turned to fire. Mothers lit candles for their lost children. Fathers stood in silence for the sons and daughters who would never return, and still the fleets pressed forward. The storm spread beyond the battlefields. Kreenar allies began to fall away. Smaller empires withdrew their support. Some even begged humanity for peace. But humanity gave no answer. Their silence was once again their greatest weapon. It was not the silence of fear, it was the silence of judgment. Then came the battle of the twin suns, a trap set by the Kreenar warlord. He gathered his last great fleet, hiding them in the glare of two burning stars. He believed the humans would fall into his snare, but the humans came prepared. They bent light itself, using weapons that turned the glare of the suns into shields. They turned the trap against its maker, and the Kreenar fleet was torn apart in the very jaws of their own ambush. Across the galaxy, the legend of humanity grew. Soldiers spoke of them with trembling voices. They fight with the fury of the fallen. They fight with the silence of death. Some races began calling them the Stormborn. Others whispered a darker name, the end of empires. The Kreenar warlord, humiliated but unbroken, swore a final oath. He would strike at Earth itself. He would drag the human homeworld into fire. It was a desperate vow, born not of strategy, but of rage. His followers cheered, but their eyes betrayed doubt, for even they could feel the storm growing. On Earth, leaders watched in silence. Their generals knew the warlord's pride would bring him, and they prepared, not just fleets, not just weapons, but something greater. Something the galaxy had never seen, a secret buried since the first days of Earth's silence. As the storm of vengeance raged across the stars, the galaxy finally understood. This was not a war of empires anymore. This was a reckoning, and the reckoning had only just begun. The Kreenar dominion had been shattered, worlds burned, fleets scattered, their pride broken by the storm of humanity, but their warlord still lived, his name whispered with fear and rage, a leader too proud to kneel, too furious to surrender. From the ruins of his empire he gathered what remained, the shattered fleets, the desperate soldiers, the broken weapons, and he gave them one command: we march for Earth. His words shook through the channels of his people. Some cheered with hollow voices, others trembled. They all knew what awaited them, but pride drove them forward. Pride and hatred. The galaxy gasped. To strike at Earth itself was madness. No one had dared to touch the blue world since humanity awakened, but the Kreenar warlord was beyond reason. He would either destroy humanity or be destroyed. In the void of space, his fleets lit their engines, scarred warships patched together with desperation, a wounded beast lashing out one final time, and as they advanced toward Earth, the galaxy held its breath. On Earth, silence ruled. The leaders watched the Kreenar approach. Their generals stood ready, but there was no panic, no fear, only patience. Deep beneath the oceans, within Taines, in secret bases hidden for decades, humanity revealed what it had always hidden. The final weapon, a warship so vast it seemed carved from the bones of a planet. Its hull black as night, its engines pulsed like the heart of a star. They called it the Sentinel, a ship not built to conquer, but to end wars. It had slept in silence, waiting for the day it was needed, and now that day had come. As the Kreenar fleets crossed into human space, their soldiers mocked. Earth is just a planet, we will crush it like all the others. But when their sensors caught the shadow of the Sentinel, mockery turned to silence. Silence turned to fear. The warlord himself watched from his flagship, his eyes wide. "Impossible," he whispered. The sentinel dwarfed his greatest dreadnoughts. Its weapons glowed with a power no alien mind could understand. Then, without a word, the humans moved. The sentinel opened fire. A single beam tore across the void. An entire Kreenar squadron vanished in light. Ships turned to dust before they even realized they had been struck. Panic rippled through the Kreenar ranks. Their formations broke. Their commanders screamed for retreat, but the warlord roared, "No, we fight. We die as warriors." And so the battle began. Human fleets, precise and unshaken, surrounded the Kreenar armada. Every strike was merciless, every move flawless. The storm of vengeance had become the final reckoning. On the ground, people across Earth watched, their skies filled with fire as fleets clashed above, but no Kreenar ship reached the surface. The Sentinel held the line. Its weapons shielded the blue planet like a guardian angel forged of steel. The warlord, driven by rage, launched his flagship forward, a beast of metal and fury. He aimed it straight at the Sentinel, his claws clenched, his voice filled with hate. "I will kill the heart of humanity." The clash shook the void. The warlord's ship unleashed everything it had, beams, torpedoes, fire enough to level a moon. But the Sentinel stood unbroken, its shields flared, its cannons raw, red, and piece by piece the warlord's flagship was torn apart. Still, he refused to yield. Even as fire consumed his bridge, he sent one last message across the galaxy. Humans are not cowards. They are death itself. And then his ship was gone. The Kreenar fleet broke. Without their warlord, without their pride, they surrendered or fled into the darkness. Their empire was over. Their arrogance had destroyed them. In the council chamber, silence reigned. No one mocked Earth now. No one dared. The galaxy had seen the Sentinel. The galaxy had seen the fury of humanity, and none would forget it. On Earth, the leaders did not cheer. Their people did not celebrate. The war had cost too much, too many lives, and victory was heavy with sorrow. But one truth was carved into the stars. Humanity would never be mocked again. They had stayed out of the war, but when the aliens awoke them, they discovered the storm, and the storm had delivered judgment. The final reckoning was complete, but the galaxy whispered with fear. If this was what Earth could unleash when provoked, what would happen if humanity ever chose to rule? The war was over. The Kreenar dominion, once proud and loud, lay in ruins, their fleets scattered, their worlds burning, their warlord gone. But the galaxy was not celebrating. The galaxy was afraid. They had seen the storm. They had seen Earth awaken, and no one could forget the Sentinel, a ship that had ended an empire in a single campaign, a weapon built not for conquest, but for judgment. In the council chamber, silence replaced shouting. The same ambassadors who once mocked Earth now lowered their eyes. None dared speak against humanity. None dared provoke them again. The silence of respect had replaced the silence of arrogance. Small empires sent envoys begging for peace. Others rushed to sign treaties with Earth, but humanity did not boast. They did not conquer. Their leaders stood calm before the council and said, "We did not want your war. We never sought your thrones. We fought only because you left us no choice." Their words carried through every system, and even the proudest empires felt shame, for they had forced the storm awake, and now they knew they had chosen the wrong enemy. In alien markets, whispers turned to legends. Children asked their parents about the humans, and the parents said, "Never provoke them, never mistake their silence, for silence is the wait before thunder." On Earth, the people mourned. Victory had come, but at great cost. Colonies lost, families broken, soldiers buried among the stars, candles burned in every home, names spoken in quiet prayers, and still the world turned stronger than before. In the void, human fleets did not spread to conquer. They withdrew, returning to their hidden bastions. They left no occupation, no chains, no empire, only a warning carved in the wreckage of Kreenar worlds. A warning that echoed through the galaxy. Do not awaken us again. The galaxy trembled at the truth, for in their arrogance they had believed humans were weak. In their pride they had believed silence meant fear, but now they knew silence had meant patience. Silence had meant restraint, and when patience ended, the storm came. A surviving Kreenar captain, spared only to carry the message, wandered from world to world, his eyes hollow. "We chose the wrong enemy," he told anyone who listened. "We thought them prey. but they are predators, patient predators who never forget. The Council feared humanity now, but more than fear, they respected them. For humans had shown something greater than strength. They had shown control. They had unleashed their power only when forced. And then, when victory was theirs, they had stopped. No empire in the galaxy could have done the same. In the quiet halls of human command, generals spoke softly. "We could rule them all," one whispered. "We could take the galaxy tomorrow," another agreed. But the leader at the head of the table shook his head. "We do not want their thrones, we want peace, and we will keep it until they force us again." Across alien space, songs began to spread, songs of the storm, songs of Earth. The galaxy remembered, and it would never forget. Yet, in the shadows of distant systems, other eyes watched. New empires, hungry and curious, they asked themselves the dangerous question: if this is their power when provoked, what more lies sleeping on that blue world? And so the legend of Earth grew, not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as the storm that comes only when called, a storm that no one could stop. The galaxy had awakened the wrong power. The galaxy had chosen the wrong enemy. And now every race, every empire, every council member carried the same truth in their hearts. Earth was not to be feared because of its weapons. Earth was to be feared because of its spirit, a spirit that could wait in silence, endure every insult, survive every wound, until the day came to rise. And when that day came, the storm would always return, the storm that ends wars, the storm called humanity.